think that what is a very important thing about this session, that whatever the questions I just taken for this session, and I will just explain you the concept behind every question, and that is a very important thing. So what you have to do, you have to just pen down whatever I am just telling you, whatever the concept I am just elaborating you, because based on that you are going to get the questions, different questions in the examination. Okay, because question can change but concept would never change, right? So before to begin this class, I would like to say, if you're new on the Officers Adda 247 channel, so just subscribe the channel so that you can get regular update from our side, and download the Adda 247 application so that you can get everything at a one place. Okay, now, I also just want to say, just enroll fast in the target batch, because your classes is already started. Okay, but it's still you are not late if not enrolled till today. So please enroll in the batches, because through the batches, you actually submit the fees for the JIB examination, right? And now you just needed the quality content. Okay, and that all you are going to get through the batches, right? You are going to get a quality and the right content there. If I say that, you are going to understand a basic concept related to all the chapters, and if you're finding any problem, then you can also ask to us, right? So that is a very beautiful thing, and this is also a very convenient price. Like, so I am just telling you, just please enroll also, because in this June session there is only 40 days left for your preparation. So just just start with us, and in this batch you are going to get the 60 plus ebooks, 80 plus topic wise test series, topic wise full test ebooks, detailed subject expertise, recorded lectures as well you are going to get, as well as the live classes that regularly we are just going to take in this batches. So these are the very important batches. If I say there, you are going to get a quality content, so that's why you only have to use the code Y422, and this is a very important, right? Because if I say whatever the content we are just going to deliver there, that based on the fully exam oriented. Okay, so no, not at all any kind of the boring lecture you are going to get there. So just enroll in the batches, right? So just remember, you just do not need to pay the full amount, you only have to use the code, that is Y422, and this is a so much lucky number. And because there is a 422, like 2 plus 2, that is equals to 4, so you can understand this is some kind of the lucky number, right? So you only have to use the code Y422, and with this code you are going to get a maximum discount, and that code you can also use in the mock test ebook as well as the live batches, right? So let's begin this class, and do not miss out this golden chance, as I just told you. Okay, so let's understand with the very first question. I'm hoping that everyone just tell me what would be the correct answer of this question. Just try by your side first, because we already just done with the, if I say that is 15 classes there of the module B. So I told you everything like that, how to make the debit and how to make the credit entry. The very first thing that you have to understand, like, which accounts probably included in this particular transaction, right? So once again, I just want to say a very warm welcome to everyone in this session. And before to start this lecture, just hit the like button as much as you can. Just hit the like button and share this video to your friends, to your colleagues, so that maximum number of our bankers can join with us in this session, right? So just try to understand this question. The question written is: the goods worth of 2000 rupees were distributed as free samples in the market. So what would be the journal entry of that? Just try to solve that, and after that I will explain you that. When we talk about a one thing, just a minute. Okay, listen. When we talk about that is, there is a owner. If I talk about any kind of the firm, so there would be definitely a owner, right? So if I say that goods worth of the 2000 rupees were distributed as a free samples, so you can understand this is a kind of the advertisement, right? So this is a kind of what? This is a kind of the advertisement, right? So whenever we talk about like goods of the 2000 rupees that is distributed as a free samples, so we are talking about like this is a company, okay? and this is a company where companies having the warehouses itself, and from the warehouses we can understand there is a some type there is a some amount of the goods of the 2000 rupees that is actually distributed in the market. Okay, so in the market whenever we distributed the free samples, that clearly understandable as a advertisement. Okay, so now the question is what would be the journal entry of this. Okay, the one question we actually understand when the proprietor or the owner just withdraw the amount or withdraw the cash. Okay, and withdraw, or you can also understand withdrawing the some goods of the like different amount. So when we can understand there, the drawing account would be debited, right? What we understand, the drawing account would be debited in that case. But in that case you can understand the one account that would be the debited, that is advertisement account. Okay, so you can understand because there is a some kind of the advertisement involved, so you can understand the very first account that would be the advertisement account, that should be the debited. Now the question is what account should be credited. Now you can understand, because if I talk about the goods of the 2000 rupees, there is not any involvement of the cash, right? There is an involvement of the goods, that means purchase would reduce in this case. In this case purchase would be reduced. Okay, so whenever we talk about like for that company, whatever the like if I say whatever the what say whatever the products. Okay, so whatever the products that is purchased and that actually reduced by the 2000 rupees, so that's why here would be involvement of the purchase account. So purchase account should be credited and advertisement account should be the debited. That would be the correct answer for this question. So the correct answer that would be the C. How many ones are just give me answer the C? Okay, very nice attempt by everyone, by the way. Okay, so now understand another question, the second question. This is a very good question, and from that concept you're going to get a different question. So okay, otherwise if I say that suppose that the question is like 2000 rupees were distributed, so what you will just involve here, the involvement of their the cash account. Okay, but because here we are talking about the goods, that's why purchase account would be involved here. Okay, sorry, I think everyone just not visible to that. Just a minute. Look, here it is written the advertisement account and the purchase account. Just I once again I'm just explaining this, just understand. So what I'm saying that whenever we talk about the proprietor and the owner, so you understand there that drawing account should be debited and the your purchase account should be the credited. Okay, if I talk about like the goods here, so here also would be the same thing happen. The very first thing, that advertisement account should be the debited and your purchase account should be credited. Okay, so that's all for this question. So the correct answer that would be C here. Next question. Next question is accounting standard 7 actually deals with the accounting for construction contracts in the financial statements of what, and in this there are different options are given, so you have to find out what are the correct option here. So, whenever we talk about the accounting standard 7, so you have to understand accounting 7 standard is actually relates to the construction contracts. Okay. And whenever we talk about the construction contracts, so you have to understand it is actually for the contractors. Okay. So accounting standard 7 actually deals with the construction contracts, and that actually for the contractors, right? So that is a very important thing, the first thing that you have to understand. Now the thing is, when we talk about the construction contract, then you have to understand revenues and cost that all associated with the construction contract that we have to involve here. Now the very important thing, the date into the date of the contract. If I say the date when the contract is done and the completion date, okay, when the contract is actually done, the completion date when the contract is actually done, it both are the different. Okay, you can understand whenever we talk about like any construction. Okay, whenever we talk about the any construction and we are actually talking about the revenue. Okay, it is visible for everyone, right? Okay, so it is if I talk about the construction, so where we have to involve the revenue as well as the expenses associated with it. Okay, so now if I talk about like the date the contract is entered, okay, it is different from the completion date. So what this accounting standard 7 is about, it is just it is the accounting standard 7 actually deals with the distribution of the expenses, or say distribution of the revenue and cost during the during the construction period. Okay, so that's all about the accounting standard 7. Now I think everyone just remember that. And there you can understand the multiple options are given, and sometimes these options may confuse you in the exam. So that you have to understand, you have to read through the very basic. Like accounting standard 7 is not about to understand like accounting standard 7 is related to construction contract. You also have to understand it is construction contract for whom. Like it is for the accountant, it is for the agent, it is for the dealers, or say it is for the contractors. Okay, because now you are just now you are just thinking that it is a very obvious that construction contract for the contractors, but in the examination you may definitely confuse in this if you have not remembered properly, right? So I think it is clear for everyone, that is accounting standard 7. Third question, that is which of the following in the trial balance is contradictory to each other. Just try to solve by your side. In this question, like you have to just solve by your own, like what I told you about the trial balance and how to solve the questions of that. Just try one more time by your side how to solve this question. When we talk about the trial balance, you have to understand that the very first thing that you have to understand, like what component we actually keep under the debit side and what component actually we keep under the credit side, right? So whenever we talk about the trial balance, under the debit side and under the credit side, what component we keep, can anybody can tell me what component we keep under the debit and what component we keep under the credit side? Look, in the in the previous sessions, I already told you under the debit side we actually keep the assets and expenses, expenses, okay, that we actually keep. And under the credit side, what we keep, the liabilities, any kind of the incomes, any kind of the gains that we actually keep under the credit side, right? So for this question, like we have to tell like which of the following trial balance contradictory to each other. So just try to just understand what this question is all about. Okay, just try to understand that, like which of the following trial balance is contradictory to each other. Okay, so you have to understand, like whenever we talk about the inventory is a kind of what, inventory is a kind of the asset, right? So whenever we talk about like inventory, and this is a debit side and this is a credit side, and this is a very important concept I am just telling you here. So because these type of the questions actually ask in the examination, right? So whenever we talk about the inventory, so inventory you can understand it is a type of the stock. So this actually just would come under the debit side, right? So if I say that this would be come under the debit side because this is an asset. So this would come under the debit side, and drawings will be considered as an expense for the company. So this will also just goes under the debit side, right? So assets and expenses, that both comes under the debit side. Okay, after that, sales is a kind of the gain. Okay, or we can also understand sales is a type of the sales actually generates the revenue for the company, and the purchase return that reduces the expenses. So that both goes under where, that both goes under the credit side, right? So that is also just that is also related to each other. Now the carriage inward and outward, that both are just related to the expenses. Okay, whenever we talk about the carriage inward and carriage outward, both just related to the expenses. And when we talk about both are related to the expenses, that means both goes under the debit side, right? So carriage inward also debit side, and the carriage outward also debit side. Okay, now if I say that trade receivables and the liability, so whenever we talk about the trade receivables also just understandable as a assets for the company, and the liability, what liability we keep under the credit side. Okay, and trade receivables we keep under the debit side. So these trade receivables and liability both contradictory to each other, that we have to understand. Okay, so question number third, that answer of the question number third, that is the trade receivables and the liability, because trade receivables is actually the asset for the company and liability is actually the your goes under the credit for the company. Okay, so that trade receivables asset, so that goes under the debit, and liability goes under the credit side for the trial balance, right? Next question. Next question, before to understand the next question, I would like to tell you one thing here, what we understand by the lesser and the lessee. Okay. So whenever we talk about a term that is a lesser is actually understandable as the owner of the asset, right? So lesser is actually understandable as the owner of the asset. Okay, one more thing I just want to tell you, if you're just watching this video and if you're just liking our content, just hit the like button as well. Okay, so lesser actually understandable as the owner of the asset. And if we talk about the lessee, okay, what we understand by the lessee, lessee is actually, lesser is the owner of the asset, and lesser actually provided the asset for use purpose. Okay, for using the, for you can understand, like if we talk about the land, okay, that land actually provided by the lesser is the owner of the asset, right? So lesser is the owner of the asset, and lesser is actually provided this land for the rent purpose to the lessee. Okay, so that you can understand that who is the lesser and who is the lessee. Lessee, you can understand here. So lesser is the owner of the asset, lessee is not the owner of the asset. Lessee is, because this owner actually does not transfer to the possession of this land to the lessee, so that this lesser is known as a owner, and this lessee is actually the use, or use the land of, like use the land for the regular payment, like he will just provide, or say lessee will provide the regular payment or series of the payment to the lesser, right? So that is the lesser and the lessee. Now, the question is that as per the accounting standard 19, lease risk and reward is not transferred to the lessee. So, what type of the, when we talk about the lease, you have to understand lease is a type of the agreement, right? Lease is a type of the agreement, and that actually lease is a type of the agreement between the lessor and the lessee. Okay, when we talk about the lease, so there will be two type of the lease you have to understand. The first type of the lease, that is finance, and another type of the lease, that is the operating, right? So whenever we talk about the finance lease, so you can understand here in the finance lease, or say under finance lease, actually the whatever the lease risk and reward, that actually transferred to the lessee. So you have to understand, like if we talk about the finance lease, so this is actually the transfer to the lessee. Okay, and when we talk about the operating lease, so you have to understand under the operating lease, the risk and reward is actually not transferred to the lessee. Lessee, what we understand by the lessee, who actually user of the asset. Okay, and user for the asset, like just giving the payment or regular payment or series of the payment to the real owner of the asset. Okay, so if I say what would be the correct answer of this question, so I think everyone just understood here that the correct answer, that is the operating, because under the operating lease, risk and reward is not transferred to the lessee, and under the first, if I talk about under the non-operating, or say under the finance lease, risk and reward is transferred to the lessee. Okay, so this is so much understandable, I think. Now just understand the question number fifth, that is a very obvious to understand, which of the following is not a limitations of the accounting. So we often found, like if we talk about the limitations of the accounting, like based on accounting convention, incomplete information, omission of the qualitative information. The correct answer of this question, that is evidence in a legal matter. Okay, it is not the limitations of the accounting, that is the evidence in a legal matter. That would be the correct answer for this question. Next question, which account will be debited in case wages are paid for installation of the machinery. Okay, there is a one thing that you have to understand whenever we talk about like any asset, and that asset is actually purchased, or we can also understand there is a kind of the fixed asset. Okay, so when we talk about the fixed asset, and when it just come into your factory or into your warehouse, right? So when you talk about like it, when it comes to your warehouse, so whatever the expenses that incurred from purchasing, just understand very fine, with a very fine way, from purchasing to, if I say from purchasing to installation. Okay, or you can understand like other expenses also, plus other expenses. So whatever the other expenses that also incurred on on that fixed asset, so that all would be understandable as a total cost of that asset. Okay, so whenever we talk about if I'm talking about that any kind of the fixed asset, and that kind of the fixed asset actually comes into your factory, warehouse, so there would be multiple type of the cost that associated with us, like purchase cost, like how many cost of that fixed asset, purchase cost, installation cost, okay, and the multiple cost there would be involved, like a carriage inward also would be involved there. So which account would be debited here? So we know that which account should be the debited, there would be debited with the machinery account. Okay, so there would be machinery account would be debited. All right, so you have to understand, like machinery account will be debited in case wages are paid for the installation of the machinery. The correct answer, that is a machinery account, that all associated with the cost of this fixed asset, or you can also say that for this machine, all costs associated with the machine we are going to consider. That's why machinery account should be debited here. Next question. If a firm borrows a sum of money, there will be, okay, suppose that if I talk about like any kind of the firm, okay, and this firm is, this question is looking very simple and small, but this is a quite complicated if you just do not understand, if you just do not know about the concept behind that. Okay, so if I talk about like any firm that actually borrows any kind of the amount, so what exactly will happen? Okay, because the firm actually borrows, so that actually would increase the liability. Okay, and that actually increase the liability for, like, if suppose that the firm borrows a 10,000 rupees amount. Okay, so firm borrows a 10,000 rupees amount, that means it would increase the liability, right? So when it increase the liability, that means there will be no any kind of the effect on the capital, because in the one time there will be increasing in the liability, so there will be no effect on the capital. The correct answer, that would be no effect on the capital. There will be no effect occurred on the capital. Okay, so this is the question, because in for borrowing you can understand there would also increasing in the liability, right? So the correct answer, that is no effect on the capital, right? The person, firm or institutions who does not pay the price in cash for the goods purchased or the services received are called. That just can anybody tell me? When we talk about like any company, any business, what any company, what any business exactly do? Okay, they exactly do two things. For that, this company and the business actually generated the revenue. They exactly do the two things, like there would be involvement of the trading of the goods, there would be involvement of the trading of the goods, or you can also understand that there would be involvement of the goods. You can understand, like when we talk about, like, just understand, so there will be involvement of the goods and services. So based on that, you can understand the companies, businesses and organizations actually generate the revenue on the basis of the goods and services they provided. Okay, so the person, firm or institutions who does not pay the price in cash for the goods purchased or the services that received is called what? Is called the debtor. Debtor who is known as a, who actually just purchase the goods on the credit from any other person, any other company, any other organization. Okay, and the debtor would be the correct answer for this question. That answer that also be just given by the multiple bankers here, right? So this answer, that would be correct. Eight, the correct answer of the eight, that is C. Next question. If the total assets of the business are given the 1,80,000 rupees, if the total assets are given as a 1,80,000 rupees and the net worth is a 50,000, so outside liability will be, you just do not have to be confused in multiple questions and with the multiple languages, right? So whenever we talk about the balance sheet equation, you have to understand a very important thing, that assets would equal to the liabilities plus capital. Okay, you can also understand capital as a multiple term, like capital as a term, like you can also understand the net worth You can also understand as a shareholders fund. Okay, sometimes in the examination you can also just get the word like the shareholders fund are given, so there you just do not have to be confused. Like now here the assets are given, that is a 1,80,000 rupees, so just write here 1,80,000 rupees, and the liabilities that you have to just calculate here, so just write here, and the net worth is given you, that is a 50,000, so just write here. So liabilities that would be equal to the 1,30,000 rupees. That would be the correct answer of this question. Okay, so that's how we actually solve the questions in the examination. I'm hoping that everyone just understanding this, like whatever the questions we are discussing here. Okay, based on this equation, this equation is also known as an accounting equation as well as a balance sheet equation. Okay, so this equation is a very important for your chapter like ratio analysis chapter. This equation is a much important because there you are going to calculate based on that like current asset, current liabilities. Okay, and the multiple questions would provided from these kind of the concept. So this is a very important to understand. So question number 10, just try to solve by your side what the question is about. Question that is, which accounting standard deals with the preparing and presenting the consolidated financial statement for a group of the enterprise under what? Under the sole control of the patent enterprises, right? So like this question is from the accounting standard, and when we talk about the consolidated financial statement, what it means, this is a very important thing to understand. Whenever we talk about the consolidated financial statement, that actually means the consolidated financial, you can understand financial statement or say profit and loss statement and balance sheet. Okay, so that actually both necessary. And when we talk about the, this is all about like sole control of the patent enterprises, that means consolidated financial statement of the holding as well as a subsidiary company, that actually deals with the accounting standard 21. That is the correct answer of this question. Okay, so accounting standard 21 actually deals with the preparing and presenting the consolidated financial statement for a group of the enterprises under the sole control of the patent enterprise. Okay, so suppose that there is a company which name is a ABC Limited, and you can understand there is a subsidiary company of the ABC Limited. Suppose that you can understand XYZW. So you have to understand it is all about it actually just it actually helpful to for making the consolidated financial statement for this company to prepare like profit and loss statement, balance sheet for holding like for ABC Limited and subsidiary companies like XYZW companies. So that all about like accounting standard 21 that deals with that. Okay, so I'm hoping that everyone just understood this. So now just tell me how many marks everyone just got in this 10 MCQs. If you just got the, if I say if you just got in this in this 10 MCQs, if you're getting the 6 marks, minimum 6 marks if you're getting, so that means you are going good. Okay, because there are some questions which is just based on the concepts, right? So that would be the correct answer here, that is accounting standard 21. So now I just want to tell you, just enroll in the target batch because you are going to get because target batch is actually started, and the few classes that actually done by our side, but still the 1 month left for your classes. So I am hoping that everyone just going to enroll in this batches, because there are only 5 classes that had been delivered by us, right? So in this target batch you are going to get the 3 books. If I'm talking about the big with books, if you are just going to enroll in the batches, so 3 Macmillan books, 84 mock tests, 82 e-books, as well as a 130 hours live classes. So you just enroll, you just should enroll in this batches, and just apply the code Y422, and with this code you are going to get the big discount on the batches. Okay, so now hit the like button and share this video to your friends, to your colleagues, so that maximum number of our bankers can join with us in this session. So thank you everyone for joining me in this session. Now we will meet on the tomorrow at the same time at the 7 a.m.